Hello and welcome everyone to my channel Code with Ease. Today we are going to solve another string problem, how to find the first unique character in a string. So I have the problem statement over here, which is given a string S, we have to find the first non-repeating character in it and return the index. If it does not exist, return -1. So there are two aspects to this problem. One is we have to find out if the character is unique or not, which means the character should not be duplicate. So we have to find out if the character is non-repeating or not, and then we have to find if it is the first non-repeating character, which means first we have to check for duplicacy. A character should not be a duplicate character, and then we have to figure out if that non-repeating character is the one that should have appeared in the beginning. So first is to check for uniqueness, and second is to find the character which has the minimum index, which is something that is occurring at the earliest. So let's try to understand this with an example. As we have an input string Leetcode and the output is 0. So L is the character that has not appeared anywhere across the string, and hence we have returned the index of L. In the second example, however, we have the character L that has repeated twice. So we move on to the next character, that is O. O also has been repeated again. So then we move on to the next character, that is V. V, we can see that has not repeated anywhere across the string. Hence we return the index of the character V. Now that's about the example. Now let us try to understand what would be the brute force approach for this. So I can think of it as we are trying to check for the occurrence of a given letter first, and then we are trying to check if the occurrence is a multi-occurrence character or not. First, that's the first thing we're checking, right? If it has occurred again or not. If it is a duplicate character, we do not care about the index. So I can think of it as like maybe I can iterate over the string. We can start with one character. Let's say start with first character, and then look for that character across the string. If does not exist, then return the index of the character. If exists, we should break the loop and pick the next character. That's the brute force approach of doing. Like if we have a for loop, which means every character, let's say I start with L, I have to look for L till I find a match, or if I don't find a match, whatever be the case. If I find a match, then I will break it. I'm not going to go to the end. But worst case can be what? I am trying to look for a character and I'm not finding the match of that character till the end of the string, and that turns out to be the unique character, which means I had to traverse the entire string to find it off. That's one thing. Second thing is if I'm not able to, if I'm able to find a matching character, I'm breaking the loop, and then I'm taking the second character and running through the same exercise, which means we are traversing through the loop again and again for every character, which is kind of an order of n square time complexity. So an optimal way of doing would be to solve this in order of n time complexity, and that is where we are going to make use of hash maps. Why hash maps? Hash maps are a very good candidate when we have to keep a track of something, or when we have to keep a track of the frequency of a character. So hash map as a data structure goes well with this concept. Now, how does it apply here? As we have already understood that since we are checking for a non-repeating character, which means somewhere down the line we have to keep a track of the occurrence of that character. So if you have to track the occurrence of that character, which means we have to store, which means we have to have an entry in the hash map such that if it is a duplicate, we do not care. I mean, See, if it is a duplicate character, we do not care if it is the first index or last index or whatever. Only we care about a character that is non-duplicate, and then we need to store the index of the character. So our approach is going to be, if we find a character that does not exist in hashmap, then insert that along with its index. If it exists, which means it's a duplicate character. The moment we find if duplicate, what we are going to do? We are going to just update the index to -1. Because if it is a duplicate character, we do not care about the index anymore. So this makes it more of a candidate that can be ignored. We do not care about that entry anymore. So that would roughly be our approach. So let me start with the main method. We will have our input string over here. Let's give this as an input string. And then we are going to have our method. So what we have to return? We have to return the index, which means it's an integer. So index equal to get first unique character. We are going to pass the input string over here. Let's have the method. Okay, so we can start off by having a hash map, and the key and value of this hash map is going to be a string, a character and an integer. So we are going to start with the for loop. So we'll have position as 0, and then less than the string's length. I would iterate through the string, taking note of every character. Now what we have to check is if this map, what's the name, my map dot contains key. Contains key is the method to check for a key, and in this key we have to check if input this position. Sorry, it's not an array, it's a string. So caret. So if whatever the character we are currently, that will give us from this input dot caret, if this already is being contained in the key, then what I said, that if it is already there, we have to update the index to -1, else we have to do a fresh insert. So we are just going to invert this condition. We are going to say if it doesn't contain. So if it doesn't contain, then I'll just going to put the entry into the map with the character input dot and then we are going to put the index position. So we have the character as the key, and then we have the position, the index as the value. Else, which means if it is a duplicate, we are just going to update the value to -1. So the same thing. So this concludes our for loop and the logic within this. So this logic is now just going to deal with the unique character thing. The next part of the question is to get the first unique character, which means Now we need to iterate over this map that we have, and we have to figure out whatever entries the map contains. Among those, the characters that it contains, we have to find out a character that has the least index. So for that, I'll also initialize a variable with min as the value will be integer.max value, and then we have to iterate over the key set of this map. We said so. Here comes the interesting part. So what we have to do here is to type condition. We are going to check if my map dot get of C, which means I'm iterating over the key set, which means the left hand side, these are all the characters. So if my map is containing this particular character and dot get will give us the value. So I'm saying that if my map dot get, the value is greater than -1. Why? Because if it is already -1 as we will be having in some of the cases of duplicate occurrence, we are trying to discard that and we are going to take only those values which are greater than -1. So if it is greater than -1, means capture the values that are non-duplicate, and we also have to check if that index is lesser than the min. Why? Whenever we try to find out minimum character, minimum number or something from a list of numbers, what do we do? That is what logic we use, right? We try to compare it against the minimum value, and if it is lesser than whatever we have given at hand, that becomes the newer value. So if that after this, we are going to say that my map dot get C is lesser than min. Then our new min is the same thing. My map dot get C. This is our new min. So we have to keep on doing this until we arrive at a minimum index. Until we arrive at an index that has the minimum value. So again, what happens if we get another character? So let's say our min over here we got as of some character we got as 5. So we are assuming this is the minimum index of that unique character. But we got another unique character probably whose min is 2. So 2 is less than 5. So our min was 5. 2 is less than 5. So our min will now become 2. So that becomes the unique character. So in this way, we have to keep on iterating. Then what's the requirement? We have to return the index of that character. So we can simply return the min. But there's a catch. We are also told that if it does not exist, return -1. So it may happen that this if condition that we have written, this never turned out to be true, which means our min, which is earlier set to integer.max value, it remains the same. It never got changed. So how we can deal with this is we can just say return min. We're going to do one ternary operation over here. We'll say that if it is not equal to integer.max value, if it is not equal to means we have a new min. But if it is equal to integer.max value means it never got changed, which means it does not exist, means we do not have any character that is meeting our requirement. So in that case, we'll simply return -1. So that concludes the return value for this. And now we're just going to print this index. Let's try running this. So yeah, that was our output. I'll try to change our input to Leetcode. Run again. And I'm going to try to give something that is not at all unique, maybe something like this. Yeah, so we got -1. So yeah, that wraps up this program. Hope you guys liked the video. Thanks for watching.